Hi, everybody. This is Jackie, the owner of Virtually Here LLC. And this is part of our webinar series where we do a webinar that our clients are looking for about their businesses. And I am thrilled today to be having Josh and John from MDSC to speak with us about their campaign, Your Next Star. Josh and John, you're there, right?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, we're here. Oh, sorry.
All right, I pass over the mic to you guys.
Okay, wonderful. So thank you, Jackie, for this opportunity to talk about our Your Next Star campaign. My name is Josh Chimaera. I'm the Director of Communications at the Massachusetts Down Syndrome Congress. And today you'll be hearing from myself as well as my good friend John Anton, who is pretty much the embodiment of everything that I'll be describing that we'll be talking about today. So to start off, I just want to set the tone by showing our Your Next Star centerpiece video that you may or may not have seen. But without further ado, here it goes.
Hi, my name is Nicole.
My name is Melissa.
My name is Philip A. Downey.
My name is Lena.
Hi, my name is Scarlett Levy. I work for the Boston University Garden.
I come to work every day with a smile on my face.
Smile on my face every day.
I have a positive attitude.
Great positive attitude.
I always on time to work.
All right, time. I don't take being sick. I don't quit. I have worked at the State House for 3 years. 10 años.
I've been working here for 5 years.
13 years.
19 years.
I love my job.
I love my job. I love your job. Yes, I do love my job.
That's definitely true.
I worked hard at school.
I know how to listen.
I know how to overcome challenges. I've done my whole life. Having someone in your office with Down syndrome can make a whole lot of difference. Make it better. For coworkers and customers, I may need a little more time to know the job. Extra support.
Action tools.
But those are easy to find. And the rewards will worth it. Yeah, it's worth it.
It's worth it all the way.
A lot of people just come to the grocery store to get groceries, but Phil makes it more of an experience. If he's not bagging on a register, where'd Phil go? He's on break, they're questioning it. They notice. Phil likes to take care of the customer and make sure that we always remember that.
It's absolutely important in today's world to have a diverse workforce because our society is diverse. When you have people that have a positive attitude, that like coming to work, it's contagious. Nicole is one of our leaders when it comes to that. The thing that I always say about Melissa is Melissa has become my ambassador. Not only does she take the job very seriously and is very committed to helping the constituents I represent, but she's really there to help anyone. As soon as John walks into the building, everybody's mood instantly changes. I think John is one of our most valuable employees. I'm proud to call him my co-worker. It's good work.
That's a good work, Don. We love working with Lena, and she does a good job.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if you value hard work,
If you value diversity,
reliability, stability,
Honestly.
here I am. Here I am.
here I am.
Here.
I'm ready for work.
Okay, well, I hope that you all enjoyed the video. As you can certainly imagine, it was just a great pleasure to work on that. So we'll be getting more into the Your Next Star campaign later, but for now, I just want to quickly introduce you to my organization, the MDSC. We offer a broad array of programs that serve people with Down syndrome and their families throughout the state. We have a signature Parents First Call program, which provides 24/7 information and resources to new and expectant families. And it has, over the years, become a national model, replicated across the country. We hold two major annual conferences, our annual conference and our Educators Forum, that brings in experts from around the country. We have our Buddy Walk program, which raises awareness and funds for our community. That now includes 3 Buddy Walks throughout the state. In fact, we have our first Buddy Walk of the season coming up on Sunday on Cape Cod. Our flagship Buddy Walk is called the Buddy Walk and Family Festival, and we're celebrating our 20th year in October. We also have top flight self-advocate programs, Advocates in Motion, and our Self-Advocate Advisory Council that provides opportunities for teens and adults with Down syndrome. And then in addition, we have public awareness, public policy, and educational programming that are central to our organization. So, what is Down syndrome? Down syndrome occurs when some or all of a person's cells have an extra full or partial copy of chromosome 21. And what happens is this additional genetic material alters the course of development and causes characteristics that are associated with Down syndrome. Down syndrome is actually the most common chromosomal condition, and it occurs in about 1 in every 830 births. In the United States, there are more than 400,000 people with Down syndrome. They have come from every race, economic level, etc., every demographic that you can imagine. And life expectancy has changed dramatically in the last few decades. Not too long ago, it was 25 years of age, and today it's 60 and well beyond that. So, today, people with Down syndrome attend school, work, participate in decisions that affect them, and they contribute to society in every way imaginable. But of course, none of this can happen without the support of the larger society. The fact is that if you think about it, disabilities really are everywhere, and Down syndrome is just one of many disabilities. So, our organization's mission is Down syndrome specific, but our Your Next Star campaign, while the focus is Down syndrome, it's really advocating for opportunities for people with all disabilities. And so it's worth noting that 30%, just imagine that 30% of America's 69.6 million families have at least one family member with a disability. And here in Massachusetts, out of the 3.8 million working age adults, then 438,000 or 12% have a disability. So really does touch everybody. And this kind of brings me to something we're going to talk about. There's an effect at play in disability hiring that I like to call the big disconnect. So what the big disconnect is that people with disabilities want to work. Businesses who hire people with disabilities get a double reward. Now, what's a double reward? Well, it's that businesses who hire people with disabilities, they're rewarded by customers because of the goodwill that's created. The very fact that they're hiring someone with a disability gives businesses a competitive advantage. But then on top of that, businesses also get some of the best employees on the planet. So this is where there's the disconnect, though. Yet people with disabilities are not landing good jobs. And in terms of just getting a job, in terms of finding work that matches with what their abilities are, and then sometimes even if they have those two things and they're not really getting the hours that meet their needs. So that said, I just want to take a a quick minute to look at, exactly what the numbers are in terms of disability hiring. Keeping in mind that, of course, no single business can change the landscape, but that every business can do its part to improve the situation for the betterment of all society. So, here we have the numbers, 120, 1/3, and 44%. 120 is what the unemployment rate for people with disabilities is 120% higher than for people without disabilities. It's not 20%, not 60%, but 120%. 1/3, there's only 1/3 of eligible adults with intellectual disabilities are currently employed at any time. And furthermore, 1/3 of eligible adults with intellectual disabilities have never held a job at all. So those numbers are pretty staggering. And then finally, only 44% of intellectually disabled adults are in the labor force, and that's defined as either being employed or looking for work. Now, unfortunately, because of what happens with poor job prospects, many people with disabilities simply stopped looking for jobs. So comparatively, the number for the non-disabled population is 83% are currently in the labor force, which is, practically double the rate for people with disabilities. So when we at the MDSC saw these numbers, we were basically shocked and at the same time unsurprised. So we were shocked because such high unemployment just doesn't square with a population who really, by all the facts, should be highly desirable employees. But then at the same time, we're unsurprised. We've been in this business for a long time, and we know that people with disabilities are often underestimated. So what we did do is to create a campaign to change the situation. We wanted to make it a point to talk to businesses like your businesses who really can make a difference. And so we put together yournextstar.com. If you haven't been to yournextstar.com, I hope you do. It's a website, of course. It has frequently asked questions, resources for employers and applicants, and it has a blog with the latest news in disability hiring. But it's also a way to take action. And specifically as part of the initiative, we formed a partnership with the Massachusetts Department of Developmental Services and their 6 regional employment collaboratives that they operate throughout the state. Now, each collaborative helps to bridge the gap between employers who want to hire people with disabilities and qualified candidates who are able to meet whatever particular needs those businesses have. So the first, one of the first things to note about, when you look at sort of the landscape of disability hiring is who is already doing it, who is already in the game. And when you look at which businesses are taking the lead, are they renegade businesses? Are they, outside the mainstream? Absolutely not. These are businesses who, really understand both the types of rewards that people with disabilities can bring. They are, some of the most trusted, most beloved brands regionally and nationally, and they have the most loyal customer bases around. So you have Target. Target has been lauded for including models with Down syndrome in their ads and obviously, paying their models. CVS has created a program partnering with another state agency, the Massachusetts Rehab Commission, that's created an employment pipeline of pharmacy technicians with disabilities. They've hired over 100 MRC consumers over the last 3 years. The Boston Red Sox were actually, just yesterday, we were at Fenway Park. We were on the field during a pregame ceremony at Fenway. We were honoring the Sox for their game day employee program that hires many of our members. Market Basket is they're renowned for their incredible support for their employees and their community, and their inclusive hiring practices are part of that. You'll see that they were part of our video as well. And then lastly, two of our biggest, most renowned hospitals in the world, Mass General Hospital and Children's Hospital, which are right here in our backyard, they are also making it a priority to hire professional staff with Down syndrome and other disabilities. So I want to talk right now just about the one side of this reward equation for businesses. Everybody in business knows that the customer is always right. And the fact is that customers have told us that they want businesses to hire people with disabilities. 92% of consumers have reported that they feel more favorable toward businesses that hire people with disabilities. And 87% of consumers said that they would prefer to patronize businesses that hire people with disabilities. So if you're in business and you know that you have to give people what they want, and this is what they want. But beyond, expanding your customer base and fostering consumer loyalty, there's also a further business case for hiring people with disabilities. So first off is job performance. Studies show that with the right job and the right supports, employees with disabilities actually have equivalent job performance ratings as employees without disabilities. In terms of longevity and stability, studies have also shown that employees with Down syndrome are typically more loyal and reliable, and they have less turnover than their non-disabled peers. There was a Gallup study a couple of years ago that showed that 62% of people with disabilities working in a competitive setting have been there for 3 or more years. And then finally, just touch on the untapped talent pool. That if you think about how hard it can be to find good help, then consider that by including individuals with disabilities when you're recruiting, then your pool of skilled, qualified candidates just got a lot bigger. And there's other reasons as well to consider hiring people with disabilities that are, business reasons. It boosts morale, and we hear it, 1,000 times. People with disabilities add life to their workforce. Coworkers and management often report a higher level of team job satisfaction when one of their members does have a disability. Diversity, more diversity means more strength. And, nowadays, everybody wants to make sure that their company won't be left behind the competition. And also creative thinking. What happens when you hire somebody with a disability often is it leads to some creative thinking about how to make things work. And that creative thinking actually does have long-term benefits. And we see that, again, with the employers that we talk to. I actually have, a couple of stories here, but I think I'm just going to, in the interest of time, just kind of go through these. So we have Ben, who works at Mass General Hospital. We have Joe here, who works at called My Choice Program, My Choice Programs. And we have Kate, who is at Aquent, the creative staffing agency. I'm just going to skip over them for now because we're going to hear John's story in a little bit, and just want to kind of talk quickly about what are the tax incentives that, of course, are essential to making the whole program work. So what are the tax incentives? Well, there's a range of incentives are available to help employers cover the cost of accommodations for employees with disabilities and to make their places of business accessible to their employees. So there's the Work Opportunity Tax Credit. It's a federal tax credit that benefits employers who hire workers with disabilities. It's a credit of $2,400 to $9,600 a year per qualifying hire that's available. That's really the most common one. The others are are also very valuable, but not as common. There's an architectural transportation tax deduction for barrier removal, and that's an annual deduction of up to $15,000 for expenses that are incurred to remove barriers in the workplace for people with disabilities. And there's a small business tax credit for businesses that earn $1 million or less with 30 or less employees, where they can take an annual tax credit for a maximum of $5,000 to help make their products and services accessible to people with disabilities. And then finally, there's a whole raft of state incentives as well. And the next question that kind of often comes up in the same breath as tax incentives is regarding accommodations. People often want to know what kind of accommodations they might be facing. And the answer to that, by and large, is not much. If you look at the list of examples on the slide, it's important to understand a couple of things about accommodations. One is the majority of workers with disabilities do not need any special equipment or accommodations. And of people who do, 46% of accommodations cost absolutely nothing. And 45% of accommodations have a one-time cost, which is typically around $500. So finally, I just want to conclude my portion, and then I'll hand it over to John. But I want to conclude by just noting that, while by some measures the job situation for people with disabilities is quite bleak, we just have so much reason to be hopeful about what the future holds. Here in Massachusetts, there are already many employers who have embraced a vision of an inclusive workplace. And there are many more like yourselves who are exploring the benefits of hiring people with disabilities. Because of our campaign, as you can see, we've had audiences with employers big and small, from retail to financial to higher education. So we really feel like we're on the verge of something big right now. And speaking of something big, I'm excited to hand it over to John Anton. John is our legislative specialist at the MDSC and somebody with an incredible journey that he's going to share with you right now.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you about my journey to independence. At the present time, I am working as a paid staffer at the State House for Representative Tom Sanacandro as a legislative specialist for the Massachusetts Down Syndrome Congress. I'm also a member of the Citizen Advisory Board of Merrimack Valley and the Northeast Self-Advocates. I attend school in Haverhill in the Montessori preschool program, a special education classes in elementary school. When I was growing up, I felt segregated, devalued, and found it hard to find my own voice. My parents had no idea I felt this way. Getting along with my peers, trying to stay out of trouble, and making friends continued to be difficult for me. I worked hard, and graduated from Essex Agricultural High School, taking floriculture classes, and this was not a field I wanted to work in, however. After I graduated, I worked in a sheltered workshop for several years, which was not challenging for me. I spent most of my following years doing physical type work, such as bagging and dragging grocery carts. I also did food service in a couple of well-known fast food chains, which was not good for my diet, let me tell you that. I finally realized this was not for me. After that, I decided I wanted to have a job where I could be myself. I wanted to wear a suit and tie, have a professional career, being recognized for my gifts and talents. It has always been about respect and dignity as a citizen for me, not being stigmatized by labels which belong on jars but not people. I want everyone to understand that people with disabilities are people first. We are employees, voters, and leaders who contribute both locally and statewide in our communities. I moved on from the workshop, started doing volunteer work at the Arc of Greater Haverhill and Newport, learning how to dress professionally, prepare a presentation, and find my voice through the local Mass Advocates Standing Strong self-advocacy group. Eventually, I became part-time self-advocacy specialist for them. Initially, I was in a flexible day support program to help me pursue my dreams and goals. Now I have moved on to an ISO, which is the Intermediate Service Orientation Program, which is available to everyone who is funded by the Department of Developmental Services. With this new program, I have choices, and I control my own funds, hire and fire my own staff, and I have independence and respect. In addition, I was able to hire a computer whiz and to tutor me in word processing, and a trainer who works with me to keep me physically fit. For a few years, I was in an apartment with a friend as a roommate. However, it was a challenge living together. Eventually, he moved out, and we still remain very active in the self-advocates and good friends. My strong role models, like my parents, service coordinator, mentors, and advisors, saw that I have dreams and goals, which their guidance have continued to move toward my dreams. After joining Mass Advocates Standing Strong and attending many state meetings and conferences, I became very involved in changing the name of the agency that serves us from the Department of Mental Retardation to the Department of Developmental Services. This was a long, hard battle for the dignity of all individuals, including myself and my friends. And all of our voices were finally heard, and we became part of history by doing this. I will never forget that by working together, we can make changes. It would be easy to spread myself too thin because of my passion for what I do. It is important to have time for my friends, going out to eat, to the movies, and concerts. I've been told that I'm a workaholic. I need more variety in my life, but to me, working on legislative advocacy is exciting, and I want to continue making a difference. For many years, people told me I could not do what I wanted, such as going to Capitol in Washington, D.C., and working there. I persisted in spite of this by using my personal and professional connections. I landed a 5-week internship with Senator Kathy McMorris Rogers through the support of the Mass Down Syndrome Congress, traveling to the Capitol every day on the Metro and making visits to legislators about the ABLE Act, which is very exciting for me, and also knowing what I did helped the passage of this bill. Look at me now. Recently, I traveled to Paris, France, for an international conference with L'Arche, Boston North, as an ambassador from this region. I had a wonderful time meeting with others like myself who want to be involved with legislative issues and make a difference in the lives of core members they live with. I feel lucky being able to work and get paid for 2 jobs that I love. 2 days a week, I take the train to the State House, where I work with Representative Thompson and Candro, As his legislative staffer, I do data entry, attend hearings, talk to constituents, lobby legislators on disability issues, deliver mail, and take care of other administrative duties. In addition, I work at the Mass Down Syndrome Congress as a part-time legislative specialist to help them with their outreach and training self-advocates while keeping them updated on legislative issues. These are my dream jobs that I really be able to make a difference. For example, the ABLE Act, Achieving a Better Life Experience Act, passed last session, along with the National Background Check Bill and the Realize Bill, which was sponsored by my boss. And I am proud to be a part of passing such important legislation. And thank you again for listening to me. I hope that you, too, will help people with disabilities discover and reach their goals. Feel free to ask me any questions that you may have, and thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, John. Great job. As you can see, I mean, John, has added so much, to the jobs that he's in, and so much more than that too, in all the different things that he's involved in. So, I just want to sort of conclude at least the formal part of this program by just, asking you out there to join us in this endeavor. You can check out all of the resources on yournextstar.com. You can connect with me at my email address. I'm happy to send you more information. I have some hard copy information that can be used to, reach out to other employers that you may work with or your employer. I can get you on our mailing list, and I can put you in touch with a liaison at the Regional Employment Collaboratives to start the conversation about actually hiring somebody with a disability. And finally, I guess whether you're ready to hire or not, if you're just inspired by the possibilities, you can help me to reach others in your community. So I'm always looking to bring this campaign out into the community. If you have Chamber of Commerce or a Rotary Club, a Lion Club, any kind of group at all, please get in touch with me and let me know. We're taking this campaign on the road. In fact, we're having some regional forums that we're continuing around the state in the fall, and we've done one in this area in Burlington, where I am now, and in Central Mass, but we're looking to bring it down to the Cape and out into Western Mass and the North Shore. So look for those as well coming up. And that is it for our presentation. If anybody has any questions.
Hey, Josh, it's Jackie. Hey, everybody that's on. This is Jackie, the owner of Virtually Here. I got some great questions throughout this presentation, Josh. And I'm going to start with some of those, but also I want to just let everybody know there is a chat feature. Since people are on mute, if you have any questions, please feel free, chat them in, and Josh and John will be answering them now. So the first one, Josh, is actually directed towards you.
Okay.
Can you give a short walkthrough of how, if at all, hiring someone with Down syndrome for an office administration position would be any different? Are there any additional steps that need to be taken during the interview or initial training process?
I think the short answer to that is no, really. I mean, the sort of main requirement is just having an open mind to be able to be considerate of having that sort of motivation to wanting to hire somebody with a disability, and bring them in, and just being open to kind of see where the conversation goes. So I think that's sort of the main thing that's faced by employers who aren't thinking about it, is just having in their head sort of a very constricted view of what it means to hire somebody. And if you can just kind of be open to, where the conversation goes, and what what the match might be, then I think that's really going to be the only prerequisite at all. If that answers the question.
Yeah. Oh man, more questions. Great. I love questions. John, this one is for you. Who are your heroes?
There's many people are my heroes. My support advisor that I work with, and I got many here at the Mass Down Syndrome Congress. Tom Singh and Kendra, who I work with at the State House in Boston. And there's many more, including my mother and my sister.
I like hearing sister. So for those that do not know, most of people that are my clients do know this, but I have a sister with Down syndrome. And before starting my businesses virtually here, I actually was a special ed teacher, and I got my certification in being an advocate for people with special needs. And so obviously this is near and dear to my heart, which is why I wanted to have it be part of our webinar series. And I'm going to tie this into a question that was asked to me, which is, do you know any people, businesses, or employees who have personally positively affected by choosing to hire people with disabilities? So I don't know anyone personally, but I am going to tell us a short story. So because of the nature of my business and it being virtual, I obviously cannot hire anyone with a disability, or else I would hire my sister in a heartbeat. And because of that, I wanted to find a way that to incorporate people with disabilities into my business. So I had a video made for my business, which is on our website, and it was actually completely directed by 6 people with disabilities. So I approached Beaverbrook Step, which is my sister's provider, and I said, can you send me 6 kids for the day that I can have come and help me with this? And so they did the microphone, they were holding the cameras, I mean, you name it, they were a part of it, and it was fabulous. And the video company that was doing the video for me was very open to it. They were thrilled to have them be a part of it. So I know firsthand that it can touch not only my business, but it touched the other people that were helping me with that project. So that's my story. John, I got a good question for you from somebody.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yep.
Do you know anyone who thinks that you are a hero?
First, I take that for a compliment from whoever's asking that question. There's all kinds of heroes that I like, but not in cartoons, but in real life.
And what about, but do you think other people, when they talk to you and hear your story, do you think that when we hear that we think you're a hero? It's a hard question.
Actually, I need to be a good role model to others.
You are a great role model. I completely agree. And I think that does make you somewhat of a hero, John, because without people like you that are advocating, how would we get laws changed, or how would we get people to get out of the mindset that they're in right now about disabilities? If we didn't have people like you, we wouldn't be able to do that.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to jump in here. I've seen John speak so many different times, and when he speaks in front of a crowd, he's really electrifying, and he does have a huge, fan base. I mean, he has people who come up to him and, at the State House, and they say, I've seen you on Chronicle, people with Down syndrome, people with disabilities, and just, and people without, people. He's a hero to a lot of people, for a lot of family members, a lot of parents, and a lot of the general public. They are always, he's our superstar, one of many of our superstars.
And there's also another one that's on YouTube. When I accepted the Craig Smith Award, Craig Smith is an individual and was also a self-advocate also, who worked with Mass Advocates Standing Strong. he was my hero too. And I found out later on that he had passed on.
What is that award for?
That award was for let's see, the Greg Smith Award was to accept. Let's see if I can. Being recognized for an award that I got. It's for the outstanding work and possibilities that I have done in the State House in getting things moving for our Next Star campaign.
That's great.
So if I can just jump in for a second too, I mean, people should check out, I know you put it out recently, Jackie, on your networks, but there's a Chronicle, the television program that John was a part of, and there's a really nice segment on him. It's about 6 minutes long, and it's about John's work at the State House and his ambitions to travel to Washington, D.C. And so it's definitely, if you search for John Anton Chronicle, then you'll see it on our YouTube page, and that's definitely worth checking
and we'll
out.
make sure when we do our follow-up blog, we'll make sure we link to that as well too.
Awesome.
And I have, so Jess, I have another question. So
Yeah.
you did touch on this. I'm wondering if you can go a little bit more in depth.
Sure.
Who or what organization do I get in touch with about hiring employees with Down syndrome?
Yeah, so there's a couple ways that you can go about it, but as I said, one is you can just get in touch with me, and I'll help you, put you in touch with the regional employment collaboratives. So it's the state Department of Developmental Services has these regional employment collaboratives, and it's a collaborative of employers who are committed to hiring people with disabilities, and they also at the same time have a database of employees with disabilities who can meet their needs. So there's a liaison for each one of these regional employment collaboratives that cover virtually the entire state. So there's one in Greater Boston, there's one in Central Mass, there's one in the Merrimack Valley. And what I would do is I would put you directly in touch with this individual who would, again, help you to actually start that process and follow that process to fruition of being able to find somebody who will meet your needs. And that kind of goes
We
back.
can also put some of those links or information in our follow-up blog as well.
Great. Yeah, it's all on yournextstar.com. Yeah, go ahead.
No, and I was also going to say, somebody else just chatted in with a suggestion, and it's actually a really smart one. So many Rotary Clubs. So do you know what a Rotary Club is? It's similar to, it's like a business networking kind of group, but they do a lot within the communities.
Mm-hmm.
And so somebody suggested that maybe we get you involved with speaking at some Rotary events, because it might be a really good way to get the word out. And I think that's a fabulous suggestion that I hadn't thought of. I don't know if it's something that you guys done at MDSC, but that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, that's something that we really want to do is Rotary Clubs, Chambers of Commerce, Lions Clubs, if there are connections with any of those organizations. If you can send me an email and let me know and help me to get out there and spread the word about this.
Yeah, so the main point that I want to drive here is that, yes, of course, we're looking for businesses who would like to hire someone with disabilities, but we're also looking for opportunities to get the word out. And so either one of those leads that you can provide, either myself or Josh, and I can get it to Josh, is really, really helpful to get this campaign out there, because the more people that know, the more we'll grow. And John, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So when you are at work, do you feel like you are part of a community?
Yes, I do.
And what have you heard from other people that work at the State House? Do they feel like you're an asset and a good part of the community there?
Yes.
Do you want to expand on that or just say yes?
Just say yes.
Okay, that's fine. So are there any other questions out there? Type them in now before we end. And while I'm letting people type, I just want to, again, say a huge thank you to Josh and John for being on today. I really appreciate it. I think it's really informative to get the word out there, and I'm excited to be a part of this campaign with you guys. Oh, wait, I got another question, so we're not over yet.
Okay, all right, ready.
What can I do to help promote self-advocacy?
To be part of self-advocacy, basically it's looking for your either local or statewide advocacy groups in your area. And basically all it is all the advocates that are around the table, they're in charge of what they talk about, what they want to work on. And it's a group, and there will be a coordinator that helps to talk about different ways that you could raise funds for advocacy groups and stuff like that. And then they have like the statewide advocacy groups conference and stuff like that that we always go to. And it's like being part of another advocacy thing to do, because it's like we're all one family when it comes to being advocates, because whatever things that you want to change in your life or legislatively, you can always come to me on the legislative part of everything, and I will help out.
And the other suggestion that I have in terms of the MDSC is that we have a very active, public policy program here at the MDSC. And I think anybody who really wants to support self-advocacy can get involved with that. So if you email time to speak out, it's all one word, time to speak out at mdsc.org, then we can get you involved in our legislative advocacy efforts. And we've been hugely successful over the past several years. We passed the Real Lives Bill, which is a major advancement for helping people to control their own funds and resources. There's a national background check bill that we passed. And right now we have many bills on our platform, but our two priorities are an organ transplant bill that prevents discrimination against people with disabilities when they're in line to get organ transplants, as is currently allowed under law, and then a higher education bill, which again ties in perfectly with the employment campaign. And the higher education bill would provide funding and resources for people with disabilities to be able to access higher education. So again, email time to speak out at mdsc.org.
Time to speak out, right?
Mm-hmm. Time to speak out, yeah.
At mdsc.org. I'm putting it into the chat because some people asked.
Excellent. And then I just want to go back, actually, if it's okay, Jackie, just back to sort of the first question, about the steps that people might want to take when they're interviewing somebody with Down syndrome or a disability. So there is definitely, a lot of resources that are available on yournextstar.com. If you look under the FAQ section, there's resources for employers, and it will kind of walk you through. There are some resources on there that'll give you some ideas of things to be thinking about. And the other point there as well is that the regional employment collaboratives and the liaison that I would connect you directly to, or that you can find on the website, is somebody who would also help you think through that too, about when you're in the interview, things to consider, or to even just help you sort of wrap your head around what it might look like to shape a job for whoever it is that you're hiring, or to figure out whether it is a good match when you're interviewing somebody with a disability.
Oh, that's a great resource. I didn't even know about that, so I just got educated. All right, if there are no more questions, I'm going to give it a second before I say thank you again. All right, I think we're good. So thank you again, Josh and John. You guys were amazing. You've opened our eyes up to this, and we're really looking forward here at Virtually Here and my clients and my followers helping you guys out with this campaign. And it was such a pleasure to have you guys on today.
Awesome. Thank you, Jackie. It was a great opportunity. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Welcome.